You will not find some of the best writers of our generation in bookstores, in libraries, with fancy book deals and 100 published books. No, the best writers of our generation are gracing websites such as AO3, Wattpad, and Tumblr. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, today we are talking about fanfiction. And before I get any further, I just want to put it out there, I don't really have a thesis statement to this video. I don't really have a point. I just kind of want to talk about fanfic for like however long this video ends up being, so enjoy, and make sure you tell me your opinions down in the comments below. I grew up on fanfic. I've been reading fanfiction since I was about 10 or 11, so about 5th grade or so. Before I even had my first iPhone, I was reading it on my Android slide phone. And back in my day, and yes, I am back in my day in this, I wasn't even on Wattpad. Of course, it existed at that point, but I was reading fanfic on Instagram. There were people who would write entire chapters of their story into the captions of a post. So they made a pretty post, put like part 1, part 2, etc., then just put the chapter in. So I would wait for someone to post on Instagram to get my next chapter. And I'm being so entirely serious. Does anybody else remember this? Because this could not have been a unique experience. My first real experience with fandoms and shipping culture was definitely with Big Time Rush. Like, that was when I really felt like I was a part of a fandom. I was a part of something. I was watching the show every week. I was watching Kendall and Joe and then the weird triangle with Lucy and getting all invested. But my first fanfic experience, this is so embarrassing. No, it's not. Cringe is dead. Was with Disney Channel, Austin and Ally. That show, that storyline, I think really set up the tones of which I was looking for in fanfic. Friends to lovers, slow burn, a little bit of angst, just a little teeny tiny bit. It was still Disney Channel. And it might have been a Disney show, but they got together and then broke up and then had to get back together again. So the pieces were coming together. So of course, I really liked the characters of Austin and Ally, but this also got me into RFP or real person fanfic for the first time as well. The actual actors, Ross Lynch and Laura Marano, were of course very popular at this time because of their show, but Ross Lynch in particular was growing a little bit more because he had a band with his family called R5. Sidebar, I loved R5 and I was ruthlessly bullied for liking them. Not even just by like the people I went to school with, by my family, because their logo, which I wore on a guitar pick around my neck, looked questionable. And I don't blame them, but it was brutal. Regardless, I still stand by it because Ain't No Way We're Going Home is still a bop that I listen to today. That's beside the point. R5 was growing in popularity because of Radio Disney and Austin and Ally and etc., etc. And it was basically the perfect storm for fanfic writers. It was the early 2010s. They were a band. They were lovers on screen. J14 was reporting that they were lovers IRL. The stories basically wrote themselves. Anyway, skip ahead just like a little bit of time and One Direction has completely taken over. And oh, who's that really cute, kind of edgy pop punk band opening for them? Yeah, 2 bands. They took over the internet. I don't need to tell you this. Everyone has been telling you this for years. We lost our minds. We had paparazzi photos. We had promo videos. We had the albums, of course. We had the shaky footage at every concert. And of course, we had Wattpad. And at this point, Your Name has entered the chat. Why did so many people write fanfiction about being adopted by One Direction? And why did I read so much of it? There is something horrifyingly hilarious about so many people writing fanfictions about not even just being adopted by, but being sold to One Direction. Being Your Name sold to One Direction. And then One Direction as a cohesive unit taking care of Your Name. This is the first time I've actually really like vocalized talking about fanfic and talking about that storyline. And this has just been in my head for the last like 12 years or something, but saying it out loud and actually talking about it, it's different. Also, I just need to admit this, and I don't know if this is weird if other people did this too, but whenever I read Your Name or Y/N, I literally in my head said Your Name. I didn't fill it in and said, Nicole said this, or Nicole did that. I would say, Your Name did this. Is that weird? Because whenever I saw Your Name, I wasn't picturing myself. I wasn't inserting myself into the story. Your Name just kind of looked like this to me. Kind of hazily eyes, straight hair that always looked amazing in a messy bun. You know, that was kind of the vibe. I didn't see me. I didn't want to see me on some level. I just wanted to read the story. Is that worse? Anyways, after that craze kind of went down, I removed Your Name and just kind of stuck to the characters and like the characters themselves. I don't know, I didn't really mess with non-canon compliant characters, so if there's a non-canon compliant character, I really need to like be invested. It's always kind of hit or miss with me. And actually, I 100% lied to you. That was not the last time we saw Your Name. Your Name made a full comeback during my Marvel fic phase. I fully didn't even intend to block that out. But yeah, there was an entire period of time where I was just reading those Marvel fanfics, but I wasn't starting myself. Well, not myself, I was inserting Your Name. And then my interest started getting more into YouTube, and that's when fanfic got scary. There was a particular fandom with a PH. And there were just so many fics that so many people knew about, but were genuinely terrifying. If you know any of these fics, you deserve financial compensation and probably free therapy. I'm actually gonna read these out so I don't miss one. So okay, so we got the milk fic, the hat fic, the skin fic, the cherry fic, and those are just the stars. I haven't read a word of any of those fics. Anything I've learned about them, I've learned against my will. And I know a lot of other fandoms have their version of like the Too Far fics. These are just the ones that I know of. There's something just kind of funny about it because there's a lot of people who have read them, but a lot of people just haven't read them but know about them. And so it's kind of come like a community joke. We can self-reference them even without knowing entirely what's going on. And it's just kind of like a joke between everybody. Because at this point, they've just become an integral part of like the glacier of understanding a fandom. I think the only other non-fandom related fics I can think of is from 21 Pilots. Is it the Tree fic? And then I think Panic also has their own version of the Milk fic. I think a lot of people just have their own version. Yeah, after that, kind of stopped with the fanfic, but that's okay. The only reason I really jumped back into it was to jump into the Bridgerton fandom. I was waiting for Bridgerton season 3 to come out, so I wanted to read what other people were talking about and like theories and etc, etc. Turns out I'd actually end up only liking the book version and the fanfic version because I didn't like what Netflix did with it. That's besides the point. But I really liked Penelope and Colin's storyline. It was friends to lovers. What more could you want? What more could I want? It's a shame I'm not a fan of the actual Netflix canon, but I like book canon and I'm in love with the fanfic, so c'est la vie, I guess. There's been some controversy in the fanfic readers fandom regarding RFP or real person fanfic, and honestly, I used to be okay with it. Now, I don't really know where I stand. It's kind of odd when I think about it for too long. There's a case to be said on either side, but I do think it's weird sometimes to be able to look at a real person and to take their likeness and then to create something else out of it. But also, I think it also depends on how the person feels. There's a lot of like real people who talk about like whether or not they're a fan of fanfic or not a fan of fanfic. I'm kind of on the side of avoiding anything kind of like based in reality with real people. It's just kind of like where my journey has brought me. But of course, this happening is objectively one of the funniest things a real person who has fanfic written about them could do. If I'm gonna go back to any type of RFP, I think I'd like it more in an alternate universe situation. So you're more just using the person's likeness, but they're in a completely different situation than based in reality. And I don't know if that's worse or not. I don't know, at least it would put some space between the real person and the story that they're in. I don't know. You see, I love a good book as much as the next person. But when you're writing a book, you got a world build and you got a character build. But when you're writing fanfic and you're using either characters or real people, I guess, there's a sense of you're not building up that character as much because you're using so much of what that character already stands for. So you make adjustments here and there to fit it into your actual world, but the person just kind of stays as they are. So it's like one less step. Plus, if you love that character, you just get to watch this character go through a bunch of other storylines. Again, I don't know if that makes RFP better or worse, or if we should just stick to characters and writing about characters in non-canon compliant ways, or semi-canon compliant ways, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, the last thing I want to say about fanfic is I saw a TikTok recently, and I wish I saved it, but I did not, about comparing the lengths of some fanfics to actual books. When you open up AO3, and I know I'm talking a lot about AO3, I used to be a Wattpad girly. That was like back when I was younger. I'm definitely on AO3 now. It gives you like how many chapters there are, how many words there are, etc. But I mean, I don't know how many words are in books. Some of the best fanfics I've ever read, I'm just gonna give you two, are 96,000 words and 105,000 words. And I slammed through them. I was addicted. It took me like max 3 days to finish them. Hi. For reference, the first Harry Potter book is 76,000 words. Twilight, Hunger Games, little over 100,000 words. The Great Gatsby is like 40,000 words. I see 40,000 words and I'm like, ooh, that's some nice like night reading. I can just chill and read that, decompress at night. That's a whole book! These writers are gracing us with an insurmountable amount of content and for free. And it's so good. Like, can you believe we're in a world, we're in a society, we're in a point of time where there are just people who are basically giving us books for free about our favorite characters? It is truly one of the best things in the world. If you're out there, if you're a fanfic enjoyer, don't forget to leave kudos, or the other website equivalent, to write a comment telling them how much they enjoyed it, share it with other people and tell them to comment on it as well. Like, these writers need to know that we are grateful for them, we love them, that we appreciate their work, and that they are talented as hell. And some of these writers need to get into show writing because some of these storylines are so much better than what we're seeing on TV or wherever else. Show your writers some love. Okay, so this was I really just wanted to sit down and talk about fanfic for a while, so thank you for coming on this journey with me. I'm definitely gonna make another AO3 video about my favorite tropes, my favorite alternate universes. So, okay, do you guys like fanfic? Did you just wanted to hear me ramble for however long this video was? Let me know in the comments below. Share some recommendations of your favorite fics or how you got involved in fanfic and how that rabbit hole is going. And if you need me, I'll be in my room deciding whether I should read more or edit this video. So until next time, bye.